I feel ill.
Yeah, we're poorly.
Still, fresh outdoor is good.
Hi, welcome back. We've finished the wiring for our solar, and we've had a rainy morning and it's just starting to clear. The wind's got up, so hopefully we might get some sunshine and be able to test it later and see what we can actually get off of it.
We know how hard it is to find some of the stuff for the solar wiring system, so we have put links for some of the things we've used in the description below. And hopefully if you're doing your own solar project and you're struggling to find things, that will help you find what you're looking for.
Right, I'm having another go at the solar stuff today. It's all in bits and pieces because working and trying to fit it around home life and work life. So all the solar stuff's going up in that sort of like a hayloft thing, really, stop any like a rat gnawing at any wires and things. And this barn's going to have all the solar panels on top of it. I'm going to try and have a go at doing these like bus bars. So I've got a Lynx power ins, 2 of them, and I'm going to put isolation switches between the power ins. So you have the batteries going to one power in, little cables, and then to be able to isolate it off from all the other stuff. The PylonTech batteries we're going to use, they actually say that you've got to isolate not only the positive but the negative. I'm not sure why, but I'm going to go with it. So I managed to get a black one of these and a red one, which was quite cool. So that's where at the moment, and I'll try and show what I'm doing with little bits of metal, trying to fit them between the power ins. Right, so basically this is a power in. You can get a Lynx distributor and it's got lights on it, so the fuses go in there. I'll show all this later on, but what we're basically trying to do is put these bus bars between like this, and we'll have another one of these the other side, and these switches go on. You can break out the other side, so you've got on, off, and put them in through there like that. So I've got to drill some holes. I've just cut this bar in half, this copper, and we'll see what it. Don't laugh at my workbench. I really need to invest in a better workbench than this. It's yeah, it's another thing to do. Right, finally got these holes drilled through these bus bars. Got some heat shrink to shrink onto here. There's a M8 hole and an M10 hole. The M10 hole is for the isolation switch. The M8 is for the power in. So I'll just do some heat shrinking and we should be able to put these things together. Right, I'll try and put a level on it, hold it up, screw it, and then do with 2 hands holding it because it's long. So with my third hand, I'll screw it. starting to get bits on the wall now. Got the isolation switches ready. They're waiting for MC4 connectors to go on, and they're going to connect to the string fuses, which are all up under here. Bit of a mess really of things. I can see why people use these PV boxes where it all goes into breakers and fuses and things, but I couldn't get one big enough for this array in this country. I really struggled. I don't know why that is. So we've got our Cerbo GX thing here to talk to all this stuff. There's a power in here that is going to take the strings of panels to basically turn it well, it's 4 strings, but there's 8 lots of wires. So there's 4 negatives, 4 positives, which is perfect for this because that's exactly what it takes. And go into this, and then it turns it into just basically 1 positive, 1 negative will come off of there, and then go straight into this MPPT. People do use combiner boxes. That is an option. It was an option for me because I couldn't find any that were big enough in this country to take the amount of watts and a 48-volt system and all that sort of stuff. I did buy one, and it was absolute rubbish, so I gave up on that. And actually, this is quite a simple idea. They're quite expensive, £134 I think this was. And then the isolation switches and also the string fuses I got were expensive as well, but they say to use them, so I don't know what I'm doing, so I just went with that. And this is obviously for the batteries. These are PylonTech batteries. It's not finished yet. There's another load of batteries that cables to go in here, and then we've got MPPTs come off. From these MPPTs the wires come off and they go into this distributor here, and then that gets distributed to from batteries, inverter, it all connects to that. So I've got an isolation switches as well between the batteries and everything else, so hopefully it'll all work when it gets switched on, and hopefully the programming won't be too much of a nightmare as well, because I'm actually dreading that. I did not become an off-grid person to be on the computer all day. Right, inside this Quattro 48-volt inverter, you've got battery negative, battery positive. Got AC in one, which I'll be using from a generator. There's actually an AC in 2, where you can have another generator, in our case because we're off grid, on there. I haven't got another generator yet. And you've got 2 AC outs, and we'll be using AC out 1. AC out 2 was for like things like a boiler, so you can go in AC out 2 apparently and have things like that run off of mains power. So if you're on the grid or on a large generator, it can heat up a boiler, so it doesn't take all the power from your batteries. So that's the real thing, I think, when I was in the instructions for AC out 2. So it's really AC out 1 is what we'll be using. AC out 2 is for things that are really high consumers of electric. You know, if you wanted to heat a immersion boiler, you can do that off of AC out 2 on mains from, say, the grid, if you're connected to the grid with these as well, if you're grid tied as well, and feeding back and forth. So there's lots of relays and different sensors, which I'm not even going to get into because I'm not sure what I'm doing with that, and I haven't read enough about it. Trickle charge, I think that was something that is on, usually is on 24 volts, and the 12 volts I don't think comes on the 48 volt ones. So that's why there's a gap missing there perhaps. So yeah, I mean there's 2 hookups for 2 batteries. We're only going to be using one, because our hookup, all our combined batteries are actually coming from our links distributor, which is our power in, which has been changed to a links distributor. We've just added some nuts and bolts. So all our batteries are going to be going to this one. So and then it comes through, and MPPTs go to this one. So that's where we're at with that. So I'm going to try and start wiring this in today. See how far we get before I get stopped. Right, so my fuse has turned up at long last, so I'm going to do the battery connection, so through batteries, go through all this with the MPPTs going to coming off here, and then this is going to go round and up to our minus positive battery link up. I'm going to have a fuse, so we're waiting on the fuse coming. That is going to sit in between. I thought I was going to get away with a 50mm cable, which was for like ½ a metre. If it's just half a metre, you get away with 50mm, I said on there. But it was going to be slightly more because I wanted to be out the way underneath here of everything else, and I didn't want to be too tight a sharp angle to go straight to it. So by the time it goes into a fuse, it was going to be a little bit more, so I had to go up to the 95mm cable gauge, and yeah, so I've got my fuse here now, so I can bolt that on. It's M10 bolts, studs sticking out there, so my lugs have got to go on this yet, and hopefully it'll go on the wall, and we'll get that switched on. Right, so we're slowly getting there. There's been a lot of crimping that's gone on since I last started filming, and waiting on bits and pieces. Stuff I've ordered, sometimes I've only found it hasn't turned up when I've gone to get it, and I've gone, oh, that size lug isn't here. I was waiting on an M8 hole, so an M8 for an M8 bolt, so for a 16mm cable, things like that, and it's not until you go to get it. I've ordered so many things, so many different size lugs and whatnot, that you find out, oh, well, that's not turned up, that's 2 weeks late. This country's just not geared up for this sort of stuff. If it wasn't for Amazon and places like that, honestly, you could spend weeks running around trying to find things. You go to different places and they say, I haven't got that, I haven't got this. They just don't seem to hold any stock. It's a nightmare. In America, they just seem to go down to like their equivalent of a Home Depot or Home Base or something, and they can pick up stuff like this. It's just amazing. You know, they buy generators and things from there and all sorts. So today I've put these lugs on here, and they're crimped on, and it's got the heat shrink on it. So I've got a heat shrink on this side, so this is going to the MPPT. So I'm going to go off of this distributor, has all of our wires going into it that are from our isolation switch, which is from the PV, the photovoltaic on the roof. So it's all combined into these 2 bus bars. The negatives go to one, the positives go to the other, and then my positive lead goes on the positive end of that bus bar, positive bus bar, negative on the negative lead, and then we'll go up into the PV. But I'm going to just wire it in and leave that out there for now, because I don't want to be testing something later on and have that switched in, because that needs to be switched on with the batteries, not the photovoltaic, because that will damage it, because it can't control that amount of volts and things without it already being on, if you know what I mean. So that's a concern. I don't want to forget about that, so that's got to be done right. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to try and crimp these. So I need my little size 16mm things for that. I wish I had a wire stripper that was quite big enough to do this, to keep going round bigger wires with the Stanley knife and pulling the stuff off with pliers. It's not quite. I need a bit more than that. These ones up here actually were on so tight, these terminals, so the plastic bit on, that I didn't actually put heat shrink over them, because they were just in there so tight. But these ones don't always, this one for some reason they were a job to get on there, so I was just heat shrinking that over the top for a bit of extra. But I really didn't bother those ones. There's no way they're coming out of there the way they are. They're really tight, the crimp was really tight, so I'm just putting that over there. It's an extra bit of support just to stop it getting pulled off. I'm sure it won't. This thing's really tight. I'm yanking on it. I can't pull that off. So, but I don't like it if it doesn't go right the way over the rubber. Then that's good to do. And that's going to be hopefully sitting there nice and tidy. Get them on. Don't know if the camera can pick up, but this actually heat shrink has like a glue in it, and it melts out onto to create a really good seal. So it's really nice stuff, that. Right. I'm just looking at this GX device. I've got to have power go to it. So what I'm planning to do is power in. So on here, as you can see, power in. So 8 to 70 VDC. So up to 70 DC voltage. And over here is all our batteries, and they reckon you should have it battery side, because if something goes wrong with your inverter, you can still program and find a fault with it and have power to it from your batteries. My batteries go into this. I've run out of spaces on here to put it, so ideally it gives you these lugs. It could go on here, which is perfect. That was just by chance it was over there, although I have moved things around, and the reason I moved MPPT up here, I did start with it down here, is the cooling fins. I wanted it to be above, not under, and make this GX warm up with having an MPPT just below it. So hopefully that will work well. So we're getting there slowly. It's so much reading. I have to go away, have a little read, and yeah, so a lot of cables. I still haven't even found where my cables have got to go into my Quattro inverter yet, so I think everything else on here is fine. These are quite easy. The MPPTs have got a VE direct ports on them. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. So I'm just trying to find, so I've had that box on, now I've taken it back off. I'll try and wire this in so that works. When we switch it all on and we get all these batteries, cables connected to the actual batteries. Yeah, it's just goes on and on and on. Right, the power cable's in. It just goes up in there. Wrap the cable. It's this really thin cable that's just, how do I keep it tidy, really? I bought a Raceway plastic, I couldn't get one wide enough to take the amount of cables I've got going through here. So I did put it up and then I had to take it down. And then I tried 2 lots and it still wasn't enough. I thought, well, I'll do to try 3 lots, and it was getting a bit raceway heavy. So actually I'm just better off taking it all down, and in the end I've used these little, I don't know what you'd call them, little sort of tab things. They're really quite clever because you can actually undo the cables again. You can pull them off and loosen off and take them out using that, so they actually come out, which is really handy. So that's what I've done with this thin cable. Then we've got a slow blow fuse in there, and so that is powered off of this Lynx distributor, which is the battery end, so that we can isolate that bit, the inverter end, MPPT end, if there's any problems, and our batteries will power this, so we can find out hopefully what's going on. Ideal place on the end here, I think, to do that. It's a little gap in there for thin wires. It's like it was meant to be. So I'm pleased with that. Right, we're pretty much done the wiring. I say done loosely because I keep reading and finding new bits that I've got to do. But we've got our Class T fuse in now, and we're all switched on. The wiring that I'll plan to do later on will be to put some sort of lightning protection. I've since read surge protection, so I could come off of here and go up and have some breakers and some lightning surge protection, and then as an earth basically it opens up. I think the way it works is it shuts the breakers off, the excess current then gets shot through these surge protectors and to earth. So that's something extra I'll do. I haven't seen a lot of people do that, but it's something people will pick up on if they see this, and obviously I'll be nervous every time there's a lightning storm. I'll be wanting to come and unplug everything, which isn't ideal. Also, I'm not a professional electrician. I don't know what I'm doing. I've read about things and tried to learn from others on YouTube, tried to improve in some cases. In some cases I'll just have to find out for myself. But I've put measures in place if there's problems. Obviously this is electrics in here. If this goes down, this is our everything. This is our power for our water. Not that I would put water on this, but we won't have water to put on it because it comes from a pump which is driven by the power off of this. So we'll be stuck with a burning building and not be able to do anything. So I've actually got this fire extinguisher that is meant to be automatic, and it's got a little bulb in there. If this reaches 69 degrees, yeah right, things will probably be ruined at that stage, but I won't lose the entire barn. It's supposed to go off with powder and put out this electronic stuff. And I've also got a small extinguisher down there, so that if something happens, at least we've got something to try and put it out with. There'd be nothing, more horrific than not being able to do anything. So yeah, everything seems to be working. Our batteries are on, and that's for another video.
Thank you for watching the video. Hope you found it useful. If you have any comments or questions, just pop them in the comment section below and we'll get back to you and try and answer the questions if we can. We've got lots of videos coming up. Batteries, PylonTech batteries, programming an inverter, yep, which is going to be interesting. And so if you'd like to follow us on our journey, click the subscribe button, and there'll be more videos coming soon. Thanks for watching.